Hello everyone, this is Ether Dragon, and welcome back to another episode of Fire Emblem Heroes. So, this is quite delayed at this point. I was meaning to do it earlier, but it's been getting more busy lately. Busier. So, tap battles. There's so much to do, and tomorrow is going to be the end of Ether Raids. For this season, Ether Raids, and then I have Assault and Arena to do, and Christmas is coming up soon, so let's get started. So, pretty as usual, 1 speed, and just random commentary while I derp around trying to get this S ranked. So, I guess I don't know what entirely to talk about, because it's like, things kind of happened since 96 to 100 came out, so I guess I'll talk about the winter banner, I guess that's not a terrible idea. So, we have 4 new units, one of them is here, Cecilia. I'm just kind of going through it once to get a feel for this, rather than just blindly restarting every time I goof, because it takes a lot longer to S-rank that way. So anyways, we have Cecilia, who's new free-to-play unit, armored colorless dagger, super solid stat line. She has Goody Boot Plus, which is, if you're familiar with the 2018 bridal banner, there was like Bride Tharja's tome and Bride Sonicy's tome. They buff for attack and speed, whereas Goody Boot Plus, and I forgot what the other weapon's name is, Glittering Breath Plus on Faye, they buff for defense and res. So Cecilia can be pretty darn tanky. And for a free-to-play unit, she's pretty darn good. She has attack res bond at 4 stars, which is pretty decent considering res is pretty useful these days. And she's colorless, so unlike Halloween Kagero from this year, she's actually pretty solid. She also has a solid base attack. And I don't know, it's just a good solid free-to-play unit. Also has defense play and iceberg, so good amount of res. It's like 30 base defense and 36 base res. And eventually she'll get added to the heroic grails pool too. So probably in about 2 months. So if you want a plus 10er, it's an option, and she'll be super tanky with something like a close counter, and she has access to fighter skills and stuff, so it's pretty darn good. And that's just the free to play unit. So it's like, Then you go into the banner, we have Faye, who's a green armored dragon, solid 41 base res, but otherwise everything else is kind of average, I'd say. And she pretty much all she really has to offer is Glittering Breath Plus, which is the dragon breath form of Goody Boot Plus, basically. So that'll be good on units that just want to meme, or dragons that want to meme mixed bulk, because it performs at maximum potential better than Water Breath Plus. And what else? It works both phases, because Water Breath, most of the time, the plus 4 defense and res buff is only during enemy phase, whereas for Glittering Breath Plus, it's both phases. So it's not too relevant most of the time to like stat-based specials and stuff, and just initiating on offense or player phase. It's useful, but yeah, Faye has defense, res bond, armor march, and vengeful fighter, and Luna, nothing too special there. stat line's okay, but the real problem for her is that she's a green armored dragon, so she gets shredded by reds very easily, especially with her base defense. Like, it's usable, but it's not good enough to the point where you can tank those units. Of course, against blues and quite a few greens, she'll still perform well, but I personally would just like her for hero merit reasons, like getting 5k hero merit for the feathers, and for glittering breath like adult Tiki and stuff. Adult Tiki would use it pretty darn well. And then we have, what's his name, Ephraim, who's a lance armor? Yeah, lance armor. And he's pretty solid. He has 41 base attack and a super boon in attack. Pretty standard Ephraim stat line. High attack, meh speed, meh res, decent defense. I mean, it's pretty good defense. But he's basically just a ball of stats, mostly for offense, and he has decent tanking potential, but like his Festive Sigmund is pretty good, because it has built-in -1 cooldown excel, which already makes it a really strong weapon, and it has like Spectrum Solo 2 basically, which is really nice. Of course, he's an armored unit, so there's consistency issues, because usually if you want them to have mobility, you either go with armored boots, which only lasts you at 100% HP, so that's not consistent, or you go with armor march, which means you have to be adjacent to the unit, so you can't proc that. So it's kind of awkward in that respect. But I mean, he has a pretty solid stat line and comes with decent base kit. Like, he has the attack defense solo, makes him gives him an insane amount of attack, and that's basically all you really need to shred units. A lot of units just have raw attack. So he'll be annoying in arena, especially against like Alphonse, or even some of the, like Sharena or Fiorum when they're bonus. He'll probably be a pain. Anna can handle him with Slaying Hammer if she really needs it. But yeah, it's kind of whatever. Attack defense solo is cool. His stat line is pretty standard for nowadays. But pretty much there's nothing really too special about him. That's really all there is to him. So the other thing is not really. There's not. Yeah, I just keep reiterating it, but there's not really much to him. Pretty standard stat line for going around nuking units. So, and then last we have Erica, who's an armored healer, which is kind of cool, I guess. But she brings some new skills to the table, and I guess because it's still kind of early, I'll do this on camera because I still have a bit to talk about the new units, since I'm kind of scatterbrained. But then we have Erica, an armored healer, and she comes with Joyous Lantern Plus, which grants +5 defense and res to the unit with the highest attack at the start of the turn. So it's kind of like, and she also has attack opening, which buffs for +6 attack to the unit with the highest attack stat at the beginning of the turn. So it's a pretty cool idea. I'm personally kind of concerned because this is the beginning of global buffs and other effects to come, because up until now we've had like Hone Attack to start, and then we've gotten like drives, so combat buffs at 2 range, and then we got tactics. Then we got, what did we get? We got waves, so we could buff the user as well, and it's not at the start of each turn. So it was kind of balanced in that respect with respect to like hones and fortifies, because you needed trade off that consistency for an extra stats but every other turn. So it's pretty good. It was a pretty good trade-off for like keeping things relatively balanced, but still power creep in a sense that you're buffing for more stats or field buffs now. But attack opening and Joy's Lantern's basically the start of an Air's Sparkling boost as well. They all have global range, so it doesn't matter if your units are on opposite corners of the map, as long as they meet the requirements, which are it's pretty easy. And I personally don't like it. Like, of course you could engineer teams where they all have the same attack stat, and then so it would affect all of them, because that's how it works in Fire Emblem Heroes. But like, that would be cool, but it actually probably isn't as hard to do as it seems, because a lot of units have the same base attack, and all the generic weapons have the same might, generally speaking. Like Slaying Edge and Model Plus, I believe, have the same might when refined and stuff, so it's like, it's usable. But anyways, enough of talking about her skills. She's an armored healer, so obviously she's gonna have more stats, and plus 10 is gonna be a pretty tanky unit, and especially in Armor Emblem and stuff. It's just how it goes. So she's slow, but she has decently good base attack. I think highest out of all healers at like 36 or something, and then reasonable mixed bulk as well. So she's pretty good. I haven't seen much of her yet. We'll see how much she impacts the meta. Of course, being armored, you only have one movement unless you use armor march, and then you have to deal with the fact, do you want to use fighter skills or do you want to use raffle staff and dazzling staff? Because you can't use all of them, because you only have 2 slots. You have your refine on your weapon, so it's your raffle or dazzling, and then your B slot, either raffle or dazzling, or whatchamacallit, the fighter skills. So I can see use with all the fighter skills on her. Like, you can use Wary Fighter to just make her tanky. You can use Bold Fighter to make her more offensive, because she has the highest base attack out of all the healers, so you can definitely use that with Bold Fighter and get like miracle charges for the memes. But seriously, miracles, it's a pretty darn good skill, except that it's 200 SP, not 500. I was about to say 500 SP, and I was like, wait a second. It's 200 SP, and it has 5 cooldown on it. To keep it balanced, of course, because if it wasn't, then, well, yeah, Miracle would be too easy to abuse, especially with stuff like Mystic Boost and Sparkling Boost, and the spring weapons and things nowadays. We have gimmicks and ways to regenerate health, so in that respect, she's definitely a new unit to the table. Like, it's a new class, it's cool. And of course, I can also see Special Fighter for tanking better and accelerating Miracle again, because healers don't have offensive specials yet. But as you can see, we finished 96 to 100 on Hard Expert. Not too difficult this time around. I didn't expect it to be too difficult, because the rest of this, honestly, for me, as I kept going up the floors, it was getting easier to S rank, so I was like, it's probably not going to change, and it didn't. So that's going to be it for this episode. Thanks for watching. As always, this is Ether Dragon, and hope to see you all next time. Bye.